Hi everyone and welcome to today's Yamdu webinar. This is Mick from Yamdu and today I'm going to be giving you a little idea of how Yamdu is structured, how you can use the system, the tools involved of course, and a lot of the benefit that Yamdu provides. So in around 25 minutes to a half an hour, I hope we can run through everything and just get a sense of what Yamdu can do. So thank you all for joining, and I'm looking forward to any questions you might have at the end of today's webinar. So just to start things off, I want to give you a quick presentation about Yamdu, give you an idea of some of the main things that the system provides. And the very first thing I want to mention is that the idea of Yamdu is that it's an online production office. It covers all content types and all positions and departments, all steps and stages of production. It has all key general and film-specific tools, and it's responsive across all devices and browsers. So essentially, it's one ecosystem where everyone can work together, where all information can be found, and where people can communicate, collaborate, and delegate work. What we aim to do is, first of all, eliminate redundant work. On so many productions, people end up doing the same thing twice. In Yamdu, the idea is that you can always do things once, and that information is then retrievable and useful for other things as well. So doing that, we hope that you can also streamline your workflow. As a result of that, you can also improve efficiency across the entire project. So in lots of different areas throughout the system, you can make a lot of savings in terms of time and energy that you spend doing things, and all of those add up. And we have some areas too where you have huge benefits in terms of the amount of time you would spend doing something, and of course I'll show you how that works too. Simplifying communication and collaboration is important as well. Normally, when people work on projects, they end up communicating via email or some other communication system. It can lead to information being lost. It can lead to people not having the same access to the same information. And with Yamdu, that is solved by having an all-in-one system where everyone can communicate directly. And all information in Yamdu is up to date. The detail that you create and share amongst your crew and your team and everyone working on a project is up to date. People are never working with outdated information, and scheduling, keeping track of events and tasks and shooting schedules are much improved because of this. And the important thing is that we try to do all of this in a very quick, easy, and intuitive way. So moving on to give you a quick structure in relation to Yamdu. The first thing is that Yamdu is broken into three main areas, or three main benefits, because we took a lot of feedback from our users and this is what they told us. So first of all, you have a centralized workspace. You can find everything in one location. You have planning and scheduling clarity as well, because as I mentioned, everything is up to date and everyone is working with the same information. And finally, you can see that we have a streamlined content pathway. No matter what kind of content you're working with, you can very easily find a pathway and a framework for that in Yamdu. Doesn't matter if it's shot-based content or a script or an AV script or documentary content, you can work with all of these things in one place with Yamdu. So just to look at a couple of these things in a little more detail, the first thing is the centralized workspace. And as you can imagine, that means that everyone, all information, and all of the tools you need to work with are in one scalable system. You can make it as big as you want or as small as you want. You can use all of our tools or just a few of them, but you have that option right from the start. All files and documents are securely organized with full access right management, so people just see the detail they need to see. Yamdu is responsive, so information is available on whatever device or browser you might be working with. And you have task management with clear deadlines and databases of information that are automatically populated from the information that you add to your projects. So all of this is giving people one place to work with everything they need in one location. The second thing is planning and scheduling clarity. So you have, first of all, an overview calendar where you can see every project and where they stand. You also have a resource planner, so you can define anything as a resource and keep track of that information. You have a production calendar where you can say that we're beginning development now and we're going to be moving into production 6 months down the line. And delivery is expected to be sometime next year, for example. So you can plan things out, whether it's a week-long project or a 2-year project. You can structure your project very easily. And because people only see information that's relevant to them, there's no confusion. They work with whatever information is relevant, and they don't have to see lots of information that doesn't give them any additional help in the role or in the work that they are doing. And finally, our shooting scheduling is intuitive and quick. You can create a shooting schedule in Yamdu in minutes. You can edit that as much as you want to, and then you can save that and use that either as the basis to create a call sheet or as something that you can share with other people to discuss how things might move forward. And finally, we have the streamlined content pathway. So in Yamdu, you can replicate your existing workflow, or you can create a better one using our framework. You can do things like you already do, just with a slightly different system, or you can use Yamdu's structure to make things more straightforward. All project types are supported, so whether you're here today as a commercial filmmaker or as a feature filmmaker or a documentarian or someone working in animation, we have a workflow to suit you. And of course, that includes the content and how you move from that to scheduling and call sheet creation. Breakdown information is also shared with all key departments. So people can always see the information that is relevant to their department. The information is very carefully managed. And finally, here you can see that time and energy is saved across the breakdown, shooting schedule, and call sheet. And I'll look at those 3 areas in a little more detail than some of the other things over the course of the next 20 minutes or so. So let's move directly into Yamdu itself and take a look at how everything is organized within Yamdu directly. So let me just share that with you. I hope now that everyone here can see my Yamdu. And if you can't, please let me know in the comments and I'll check what the issue might be. But I'm pretty confident that all of you can now see Yamdu as it is. So the first thing you can see here is that we have this initial page. This is where you can see where all of your projects currently are. You can keep track of your tasks. And you can also see the tasks that you've created for other people. So right away, you know what you're working on, what is upcoming in terms of the things you need to do. You can also see here that your calendar lets you know where every project you're currently working on is. So you can see meetings and events, you can see deadlines, you can see the production steps and stages. This is customized for every user, so they always see information that's up to date. In addition to that, you also have a company database. So above all projects, above any particular project, you can see that we have the company database. This is where you would add employees and staff. You would have an address book of the freelancers you work with, and you would also have databases of actors, locations, costumes, and props. All of that information saved in one location, as you can see here. And that detail is reusable, so you can search for various people on future projects. And this is passively created. You don't have to do anything. If you add your actors, your locations, and your projects, all of that detail is then saved and reusable on any future project you work on. And one of the most important recent features that Yamdu has is the resource planner. With the resource planner, you can define anything as a resource, whether it's a person or a piece of equipment or a studio, and you can then book those things out across various projects. Ultimately, then you have this ability to see where every one of these different things currently stands. So I can open up my cameras, for example, and see where everything is right now. Is everything running as it should? Are there any conflicts that I should be aware of? The system will actually search across every single one of your projects and then figure out whether something needs to be changed. So if you have one camera and it's booked on 2 shoots, you'll immediately know through Yamdu that something needs to be resolved. So you have this overview of lots of important information, and you can create project templates for the kind of projects you work on. But what other features does Yamdu provide? To take a closer look at those, let's jump into a project. So I've moved from the dashboard into my project here. And as I mentioned at the beginning, the idea of Yamdu is that it's not just a film management tool, it's not just a project management tool, it's both of these things fused together. I'm sure many of the people watching tonight will use some sort of file management system. They'll use some sort of project management system. They'll use lots of email. They'll use lots of documents. They'll use lots of different things in order to communicate, share detail, and keep on top of everything. And that can be quite difficult. It's quite difficult to have everyone on top of all of that information. So in Yamdu, you have all of that built into one platform. You can see, first of all, that we have our general tools. So you have the crew, of course, in one place, files and documents, you have tasks and a project calendar. You also have then the content specific details like scenes and shots and storyboards and content items. You have planning like production calendars, shooting schedules, call sheets, and so on. And then you have the department specific details like cast, costumes, locations, and everything else. So as you can see, this is a system designed for every aspect and every facet of filmmaking of any kind, from development all the way through to delivery. So you have, again, a dashboard here letting you know what's happening in the project. Are my tasks approaching their deadlines? All of the important detail you need to keep track of. The system will even prompt you to do things based on the type of project you're working on. You can choose when you create a project what you need to work with. Maybe you don't need costumes, you're working on a documentary. In that case, you can simply deactivate that function. You can very easily work with episodic features, and you can even watermark files and create PDF headers for all of the documentation that you generate in Yamdu. So you have all of these different functions to work with, as you can see. And I think that's something that really helps. You can see, as I'm showing you here, that you can structure Yamdu according to whatever it is you're working with. To show you here as well, if we move back to the dashboard, we can now jump into some of the main areas. First of all, you can see that the most important aspect of any production, everyone is in one place. We can see people arranged by position and department in one location. We can see the access rights they have because they are automatically generated when people join Yamdu. So again, people can see detail relevant to them. The system scales in accordance to their use. We can also see that you can pull people in from the database when you need to as well. We have user groups, so you can communicate with people. I can communicate with a whole department or with a group of people that I like bouncing ideas off in any area in Yamdu. You can also see here that we have files and document management. So again, lots of people have separate systems for this. In Yamdu, it's all in one location. Everything is right here. You can customize the structure as you need, and then all project information lives in one place. And everyone that can access information is clearly displayed. So the average user might not see everything, they might not see very much, but the higher level members of production will see pretty much everything, and you can always keep track of what information is available to whom. The other important thing is that people often use video review tools as well. That's another aspect that's built directly into Yamdu right here. You can see, for example, that we have a visual file here. We can play that back, first of all. We can comment on that generally. We can, if we want, timestamp those comments. So we can go to a specific point in the video. We can say it's too dark or too bright, or we can ask by tagging someone for some change to be made. I can tag an editor and ask them to do something, for example. And this can be downloaded or it can be shared via email to a client, for example. So this ability to share and communicate and collaborate is built directly into the system. And it's another feature that many people will use a specific tool for. In Yamdu, it's built directly into the system. So whatever you're working with your files and documents, they can all be securely stored in one location. And on top of that, you can also choose to link to information outside the system if you want to too. You don't have to host everything on Yamdu, but you can, and you can version every file that you work with. So we have everyone in one place. We have all files pertaining to the project in one place with access right control. We have task management, so we can say to people, here's what we need to do, here are the people that are working on these things, and here are the deadlines for these different tasks. And if I jump into a task, just to show you, we can see that, okay, we have a description of what needs to be done, a sense of who's working on it, when it needs to be done, and also the ability to communicate and collaborate directly in the system itself. We can even share files and documents to get this task done as quickly as possible. And if I'm working on this task, I'll also see it in my calendar. So I know that I have the deadline for my location task coming up tomorrow. This detail is always there for you to retrieve and to be aware of. And if any changes occur, you'll see it immediately. You'll also see that in this project, I have all of my production meetings and my tasks and the various steps involved in this project. So if I'm working, I'm never lost for where the project currently is. I can see that we're working on the first draft of the script, and if I move forward through the months, I can see that we progress into the final draft and casting and location scouting, and then into shooting and post. So I have a sense of how everything develops over time within the system. And this information here comes directly from the production calendar. So I can see exactly, and I can have this information shared with me by the people who create this, how the project should move forward over time, step by step. So we know people still that use Excel, for example, to build this out. It takes a lot of time and effort to change things. In Yamdu, if I've learned that now we have a little less time to work on the final draft of the script, I can make that step shorter, and that information will immediately be communicated in the project calendar to everyone working on this. So they immediately see there's a little squeeze on the amount of time we have to work on this. I can customize all of these steps. I can add additional ones. I can change the names and the titles and the structure, and I can reuse that structure on any subsequent project whenever I want to. And the other important thing is that I can add dependencies between steps. I can say that once something is completed, we move on to the next step, and that needs to be done before the next step begins. So you have this ability to create a very involved and detailed structure for your project that can be very easily changed, and that is immediately shared with everyone that you work with. So we have a sense of who we're working with. We have all files and documents in one place. Our tasks are being tracked, and we can keep track of everything we need to do. And in the calendar, we can see everything that we're working on. So we're never losing an important piece of information. And the whole way through, we can communicate with everyone that we're working with. But what about the content we're working on? It's a visual project. There must be something that we're working with, whether it's a script or shots or whatever else. So let's take a look at the workflow from the scripted perspective. Here we have the ability to import a screenplay. You can import in Yamdu from Final Draft, Celtex, Fountain, even PDF, and you can even create a script or a screenplay in Yamdu as well. When you import that information, all of the scenes are here to work with. All of that rich information has now been filtered through the software. It is taking colors from the general information. It is telling us the characters in these scenes, the set, the environment, and so on. And we can now begin working on a full breakdown right here. We can manually add information, or you can just tag the screenplay directly. So I could add, for example, an old map as a prop, and then tag all mentions of that in the screenplay, even if it's in multiple scenes. I can also edit the screenplay directly in Yamdu. You can change detail, you can edit that, you can add new scenes, you can save things as a current or a new version, depending on how you want to do things. So again, you have this content option in Yamdu where you can work directly on the content in the system. It's not just project management. Now we're working with the real information, the heart of the project itself. So I've tagged this old map as a prop, and that prop immediately is shared with the relevant department. Like we said, we also have department management. So in production design, you can see here that we have everything that we need to find, including the old map here. And depending on your workflow, you can create mood boards, or you can suggest different options, or you can just say that this is what we're working with. Whatever you choose to do, you can follow and track that information easily. And when you have a shooting schedule, you'll see day out of days and important detail like that for everything that you work with. And the same idea goes for your locations, for your makeup and hair, costume, and for casting too. That's just another element that can be managed directly in Yamdu. So you can see that your characters are pulled out of the script. You can assign the actors that you are working with to the various characters, and then everyone that's working on the project, or at least the people who have access, which you can always see right here, can take a look and see, okay, this is the actor we're working with. What information do we have? Do we have sizes? Maybe the costume team wants to know. Yes, we do. Do we have appearances and skills? Of course we do as well. And all of the day out of days and the scenes that this character is involved in will also be listed here too. And that's a starting point for one workflow. I can import a script, create a breakdown, create sides, export that information, add shots to each scene, and build it out from there. If I'm working with non-scripted content, I can also start in a completely different way. I can first of all see here that I'm working with an episodic project, but if I go to shots, I can see that, okay, I have a shot list that I've created that I can edit and play around with however I need to create the structure I want. And I can see that in each scene, there is the ability to then add all of the different information, the audio and visual detail, all of the breakdown information, and it is again shared with the relevant departments. I can also use the shots to create an AV script. I can storyboard all of those shots and export that detail if I need to as well. And I can also work with content items. And if your content isn't always scripted or isn't always shot-based, you can create a content item. And that's something like drone footage or an interview or B-roll or anything that you don't have fully formed as something that you're working with right from the start, something that you might have to figure out on site or as you're shooting or on location. You can add all of these different things. You can mix and match all of these elements. So if you're working on a documentary, you can just create the building blocks right here, and that can be the basis for everything as you move forward. So you have these content workflows: shots, script, content items, storyboards. Everything is available, and you can choose whatever you need to work best. So we have our content. We've built up information. We've added rich information to the breakdown, and we're building up the basis of what we're going to be shooting. Of course, naturally, alongside this process or after this process, we want to create a shooting schedule and call sheets. So let's take a closer look at the last two steps that we're going to look at in detail today. The breakdown in Yamdu is much faster than it would be if one person was doing it on one computer. In Yamdu, someone makes a change, it's immediately communicated to the departments, everyone can get to work immediately. That is a huge time saving. With the shooting schedule, time is also saved on quite a significant level, because the basis of your shooting schedule are the scenes or the shots or the content items that you're working with. And if I select my 13 scenes here, as you can see, I can pull these into a shooting day. And right now I've just created a strip board. I can define the information that is displayed in these columns. I can reorder the strips by set or by location. I can even automatically add day breaks based on script pages or estimated time, for example. So right away I have detail that is clearly displayed, that I can play around with, that I can change and save and edit as I need to. And just to show you and fast forward this process a bit, I can also just create right now a quick 3-day shoot for this 12 scene short film. So right now I'm just creating 3 shooting days. I'm just assigning different scenes to various shooting days, and I can play around with this however I want. So let's say this is shooting day number 1 here, and I know that Sam Romain is not available on day 1. I can move his scenes to a different day and substitute some other scenes instead. So as you can see here, everything can be changed and moved around. You can add off shooting days, you can change information, you can even add banners for things like company moves or lunch breaks. So you just simply go in here, say that at a certain point we're moving from one location to another, and I've now created a draft schedule. That was quite quick. It's a short project. It's 12 or 13 scenes as you see here, but it shows you how quick and agile the shooting scheduler in Yamdu is. So I've just created something that I can now review and change and edit. And I can also, if I want to, immediately export this information either as a shooting schedule like this with different information displayed, and I can immediately see the day out of days as well. So rather than build this in Excel again, all of that information is there to work with, and I can share that for all of these different elements to anyone who needs to see it. So let's say that my shooting day is complete. I can then also export that detail to Showbiz Budgeting. Yamdu is delighted to partner with Showbiz, and budgeting is one of the most important aspects of film production or commercial production. We want to make sure you can do it right, and our partnership with Showbiz ensures that you can export the information from Yamdu and then budget for everything with them. And if anyone wants more information about that, please feel free to get in touch. I'd be happy to put you in touch with Showbiz or share any relevant links. But getting back here, let's say that we've finished our shooting schedule. I can then immediately generate a call sheet for that information. I simply select the shooting day in question, and then when I click on shooting day, it will take all of the cast and crew information. It will take the detail from the breakdown. It will take the department specific information, all of the shooting schedule information, and put it all together right here. So as you can see, in one place, we have a call sheet. We have a call sheet that includes the scenes, the characters, the department instructions like the props, and of course our PDF header right here. So everything is in one place, and we can edit this information, we can move things around, we can change how it is displayed. We can also add locations, for example, if we haven't added any already. So you can see here that if we add a location, it shows a map of that location and the weather and the nearest hospital there too, all in one place. And this can be changed. You can edit the design. You can push and pull call times. You can do all of this right here. And you can add lots of additional features like text fields and 2-column elements, crew lists, everything else, whatever you want to have displayed. So really, it's a great way to create a call sheet very, very quickly with all of the relevant information attached. And once you're happy with that, you can again save it, and then it's immediately something that you can send out and share with everyone that you work with. So all in one place, everything here can be sent out and shared with the people who need to see it. I can mark it as final and share it directly with everyone. So you can see in Yamdu, it's all streamlined. Call sheets can be created in minutes, shooting schedules in minutes, the breakdown so quickly. And then at the very end, we have a finished call sheet here that we can send out to everyone and track the sending of that for every single person. So all of the recipients that receive that, we can see if it's been sent, received, viewed, pending, rejected, and so on. So that's pretty much all of the different features that Yamdu offers. Everything is under one roof, and you can work from deliver or from the very start of your project all the way through to delivery, from development to the end of post. So the final thing I want to show you today is the different options we provide in terms of the plans. So if we move to here, you can see in dollars the different options. We have 4 different plans to choose from, starting from Spark, which is 1 project and 5 users, all the way up to Signature, where you can dictate exactly how your project should be structured. So you can see very, very clearly how easy it is to choose a plan that works for you. And you can decide what storage works. With Star, for example, which is our most popular plan, you can work with 200 gigabytes of storage, and you can have 8 projects running simultaneously. You can have 8 active projects. You can always add more, but you can have 8 projects running simultaneously as a starting point with, of course, importantly, unlimited users. So we don't think you should be constrained by user limits. In Yamdu, everyone can work together. And you can simply choose the package that features the offers and options that you would like to have. So you can always discuss this with us. And the one thing I would offer everyone today is a follow-up consultancy call to see what might be the best fit for each of you. So that is pretty much everything that Yamdu provides. As you can see too, you can pay monthly or annually, so you can decide for yourself how best to jump into Yamdu and play around. You can also start a free 2-week trial on our website, and that's something I would encourage all of you to do if you haven't already. But I think that once you jump in, you'll see that Yamdu offers a great way to save a lot of time on each of your projects, work a little bit smarter and a little bit more easily, and then make sure that the finished product is better or as good as it could possibly have been. So I just want to again thank all of you for joining. It's been a pleasure to show you around the system, and I hope you've seen everything. I'll just see if there's any questions that have come through. Philip has asked if Yamdu works as an inventory management tool. Yes, with the resource planner, certainly it can be used in that way. And again, if any of you have any additional questions or want more information, simply let me know, and you can contact me at mick@yamdu.com, mick@yamdu.com. We can maybe set up a consultancy call and discuss things further. So thanks all of you for joining. It's been a pleasure, and I do hope you'll explore Yamdu further. So thank you all and goodbye.